everything makes it into the headlines, but we bring you the full story. Join Uchenna Cyril Anyoke, a renowned media personality and former president of the Nigerian Publishers Association, as he unpacks the real issues behind the news, from politics to public policy, economy to human rights. Nothing is off limits. Expert guest, in-depth conversation, local and global perspective. New episode every week on Facebook and YouTube. Watch now on Freedom Square TV. Follow for updates and behind the scenes clips. Beyond the headlines, beyond the news.
A very good morning and welcome to Behind the Headlines on Freedom Square TV. Like always, we are reaching you from our Enugu studios. And like I keep saying, Enugu is still the capital of Southeast Nigeria. And there's still a slogan here. Some people feel uncomfortable about it, but that's what it is. Our tomorrow is still here. Another one we have a guest who is coming from the government. It does not remove our neutrality in politics. My name is Uchenna Cyril Anyoke, and I'm still your anchor. Today, we turn our focus to a transformative vision in the education sector. One that is not just about classrooms, but about the future of our children, our economy, and our environment. Across Nigeria, the education sector has long faced significant challenges, ranging from inadequate infrastructure, outdated teaching methods, overcrowded classrooms, and limited access to quality learning, especially at the basic education level. In many public schools, issues such as poor learning environments, lack of digital tools, insufficient teaching training, and declining learning outcomes have raised concerns among stakeholders. And of course, that is why in Enugu State, a bold step has been taken to rewrite the narrative. The admission of Governor Peter Mbah of Enugu State has introduced what is now known as the Smart Green Schools Initiative, a futuristic approach to basic education that integrates technology, sustainability, and modern teaching practices. So, what exactly are smart green schools? The initiative designed for several reasons. I won't provide them because I have a guest, a perfect guest, who is framed in learning and in experience to have this conversation with us. And who do we have this morning? He is no other than an associate professor of political science, if I'm right.
Exactly.
Tested lecturer before he ventured into public service. And he is the executive chairman of the Enugu State Universal Basic Education Board, ENSUBEB for short. Associate Professor Banko Ajinus Okibe. Prof, good morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, and it's good to have you. You run a busy schedule, and so getting out an hour to have this conversation with you is for the good of Enugu State and for people who have been asking a few questions about the Green Smart Schools. And now we have you. Let me just start with a simple question. How does the Smart Green Schools Initiative align with Dr. Peter Mbah's vision of tomorrow is here for Enugu State?
Thank you very much. We do not even think of how does a smart school align. What we may be talking about is what does a smart school represent? Because the central emphasis of Governor Peter Mbah's administration, the focus of his investments, the target that he's looking at is transforming basic education sector in Enugu State. And that is why the idea of smart school came on board, to bridge a generational gap in learning process. Because if you look at the background, because we start from the background, which of course you have highlighted some aspect of it. From the background, you will notice that over the years, Enugu State has experienced decline in the standard of education, in learning process, in infrastructure, in everything that has to do with education. And suddenly, when Peter Mbah started aspiring for governor, he knew that he had a mandate to change the tide. And it became a responsibility on his part. So the first he did was just to conceive this idea. What do I do to change the system? What is new thing that I can bring on board? What initiative and innovation can I introduce to change the narrative in the education sector? He arrived at this smart school. And what is smart school? Smart school is just an organized learning environment that is fashioned along the path of technology, driving the entire process, and of course, bringing people to align with modern trends. If you look at the labor market globally, you will see that there is now a steady shift from the old method to new method. This new method is the one that is guided by technology. There is no border again in the world because the world does not discriminate in the labor force. Over the years, our people have not been exposed to technology-driven education system where they learn basic skills that will guide them in their future life, in engagement in the labor market, in survival strategy, and the rest of them. So Governor Peter Mbah felt that the most important aspect of what he will leave as a legacy in Enugu State is to drive the process of changing education system. And this is where we are today, smart school, where of course we are learning technology, learning skill, and of course preparing ourselves to adjust to the trends in the global economy. So what we are doing is completely in agreement with what Peter Mbah has packaged for Enugu State. We are not even talking about aligning. It is even the centerpiece of what he's doing. There is no forum where you go to, there is no place where you go to that Peter Mbah does not emphasize the imperative of smart school, smart education, producing smart children who are skilled and adaptable to changing world order.
Okay, that this I call it a phrase or a word, disarticulation policy, which seeks to move a junior secondary school to be properly integrated to primary grades. How is this working out under your care?
Good. If you look at universal basic education law, it provides a universal basic education, which is an integrated school system comprising the ECCDE classes. That is what we call nursery 1 to 3. We have primary 1 to 6. Okay, primary 1 to 3, which we call the lower basic, primary 4 to 6, which we call the middle basic, and the upper basic, which we call JS 1 to 3. It has been there in the law book, but it has not been actually put into effective operation for obvious reasons, because the ground has not been made available for the integrated school system to happen. We have had separate schools, junior secondary school merged with senior secondary school, primary 1 to 6. Sometimes you have even nursery school separated from all this. So what we are doing now is, by the nature of smart school, it consists of nursery 1 to 3, primary 1 to 6, and JS 1 to 3. Now what we are doing is that we are bringing back JS 1 to 3 and integrating them into the new structure, because even federal government has emphasized the need for this integrative approach, because that is also giving room for people to understand what constitutes basic education that they should acquire and which government is supposed to fund. So by integrating the junior secondary school, we are now building a mass of pupils and students in alignment. Now they have exposure to learning process, which will take them all through the stages without at least separating them. And by that, you see all of them understanding the same technology, reading in the same classroom, being exposed to the same skill, and of course, graduating with that kind of collaborative orientation. And that is what the world needs, especially now, because without moving from these stages, you find it difficult to survive when you go to a higher stage. Of course, you know what we are experiencing in the university system. because of poor background. People graduate from all these lower levels because there is no attention paid to them. They graduate from this lower level. By the time they get to the university level, you see a big challenge because there is already a gap. Irrespective of whatever you could see as their score in JAMB, by the time you administer first semester exam, you start to see a distinction between what they have scored in JAMB from what they are in actuality. So what this system is doing now is that we are moving all of them together. And let me tell you, the package now. So the package now is that we have all the while had multi-grade teaching from nursery 1 to primary 6. And you know what multi-grade teaching is all about? One teacher becomes master of all. Whether you read English as a subject, you teach both English, Igbo, Agric, everything all together. Now, governor felt that no, this can no longer be the case. As we are specializing, let us also recognize that there is need to employ and assign people based on these areas of concern. Now we have dualized our process. We have two carriageways now. The first one is multi-grade teaching, which of course starts from nursery 1 to primary 3. Okay, from primary 4 to JS3 is now subject-centered approach that we adopted. If you are teaching English, you specialize in English. You go across the classes and teach English. If you are teaching mathematics, you do the same thing. Why are we doing this? Because over the years, we observed poor performance in some key subject areas. English, mathematics, basic science, basic technology, and the rest of them. This consistent failure informed us that we must change the approach. And that approach is that you find out where does the problem of the system lie. Is it in the teacher or in the students? Now we can firmly hold somebody accountable. If a teacher who is teaching English has not taught well, you can pin the person down and treat the matter so that our people can start to perform well in all these key subject areas and have firm understanding of how to adapt to other competitive environments. Because education is not just limited to this Enugu state, it's a universal something. Whatever skill, whatever intellect, you exhibit it outside. So governor does not want a situation where Enugu becomes a backbencher in the process of this global competition. We want to take the first seat, and that is what exactly we are doing. And again, we have also devised a means where we start early to expose these pupils and students to technology. Remember that the new thing that the Enugu State basic education system has brought on board is introduction of experiential learning. And I will give you an example. Experiential learning came on board because we realized that Igbos have over the years excelled in the area of apprenticeship. And we can formalize this in the education sector. If you recall, somebody will graduate from school, go and learn something from somebody. And the person is settled, he now starts to live an independent life. Now, because this is something that is culturally integrated into Igbo blood, the governor felt the need to now inject it into the school curriculum so that it will become a formal instruction that people can now learn without necessarily going to learn anything from any other person. Now, experiential learning comes in the form of learning by practice. Learning by practice. This is not the first time it is happening, I must confess. But this is the first time that it is happening at the basic education level. While we were in school, I recall that our set was the first that this 6334 system of education, where Introtech and the rest of them came into being. And we were going to workshop to learn after regular theory exposure. Okay. Now, we are no longer waiting for people to become adults before they are exposed to this learning by practice. Governor has deemed it fit that people should start to learn from early childhood because their intellectual acumen is manifesting profusely that you must harness it early. So what we are doing now is that from basic level, these people are exposed, integrated into experiential learning. You learn the theory, you practice it. You now separate people by their talents. There are people who are good in theoretical aspects. There are others who are good in practice. So you see the manifestation of all it, and you start to see how you can tap into that their skill, their ability, and their potential, and transform it into a value object. So that is what we are doing now. If you look at what has happened in Owo, for example, and some of the exhibitions that we have done in Enugu State, you see where these products produced by these students, by these people, are being exhibited. You see things that can marvel you. You start to ask yourself, so our people have this type of skill? So experiential learning has become so imperative that you cannot divorce it from the system that we are running now. And this is the ingenuity of Governor Peter Mbah. And this Smart Green School is also his own initiative to transform the basic education sector and bring our people on board to understand what is happening globally. You start from the home to build your home. If it becomes stronger, then it can start to add value, and people can start to appreciate the fact that what you are spending on is something that is adding value to the future.
Okay, I like this part. A lot of people have heard about experiential learning, but they've not gotten the main gist. I think this is what you have brought out, and this gives us hope. Well, the purpose vehicle for all this we said is the Green Smart Schools. That's the purpose vehicle.
Exactly.
And it has been designed to run across 260 wards in Enugu State. And of course, if you're out there, the naysayers will say, oh, there are only very minimal smart schools working. And that will say, oh, it's a bogus project that is not nearing completion any soon. Then others take viral pictures of defective green smart schools. Now, the basic question is, how many of these schools are functional? What is the state of completion? And for those that have defects, because I keep saying that they say I'm defending, I say I'm not defending government, I'm just stating that even in the 12 apostles,
we had Judah,
one was failing. And don't talk about a massive 260. So if you have defect in 1, 2, 3, it's not a death sentence to the rest of them. But now that you are here, what is the status of the smart schools across Enugu State?
Thank you very much. It is good that you have defended government. I so much appreciate it, because there is something that is becoming peculiar to our people. And let me start from that. Pessimism is becoming a feature in our politics. In civilized world, politics is not approached the way we approach it. Governance is not approached the way we approached it. Performance and the perception is not approached the way we are approaching it. There are differences. Criticism is okay in government, but you have to engage in constructive criticism. I have always told people, if you have conscience, admit something that is good and differentiate it from what is bad. What our people do, which is a justification for belonging to opposition, is that they check the measurement of their relevance from the kind of negative publication they throw on social media. So the more negativity you are disposed to, the more you are relevant in the opposition. But that is not the case. The fact is that
that's part of democracy.
The fact is that I'm happy that people are acknowledging the fact that smart schools have become reality. I'm just happy about that one. I know that at the beginning, some of them were just pessimistic. They just said the smart school was a scam. You know, they labeled it all manner of things. That Mbah wants to use smart school as siphon money. Some of these people have not even gone to their ward to check what is happening there. Some of them don't even return home at all. They just hover around the urban and they give you just a verdict of what do not exist. But that is part of it. Now, Mbah is not only constructing 260 smart schools. We have exceeded that. We have 267 now. And we're also proposing to construct more because it is contained in our action plan where we have found gaps. Okay? Now, the issue is that we have, in fact, we have about 2% of the smart schools that are struggling for completion. About 2%. You can imagine that number. About 2% of smart schools.
Meaning
These are
like 98.
yes, these are some of the projects that we experienced a snag, in the course of construction. Some of them just, abandoned. There was a time we had that kind of, publication here and there, people talking about this person or the other person. Government is determined to complete all the smart schools. I may not start to give you the visual of the smart schools, but I challenge anybody who is doubting the sincerity of purpose in this project. Go to your ward, give us a report from your ward. That is the challenge. Just go to your ward. If you are in doubt of what is happening about this smart school, go to your ward. At the point of that structure, use your tagged this thing, photo, snap it, send it to us, call me from that point and tell me that I'm in my smart school now. This is the stage of completion. We have completed almost 98%. 98% with roof, with all the accessories. The furnishing is ongoing. Where we are following gradually now, because people do not even understand what is smart school. Oftentimes they look at even the structure. What makes a smart school? What makes smart school is technology. You can imagine this small apartment. It is smart. Somebody could be looking for a bogus structure. No, that does not make a smart school. What that structure has done is to provide a conducive learning environment, which of course you emphasize now. The level of dilapidation in infrastructure before now was so massive that some of them who were saying, oh, Mbah could have gone back to start to renovate those schools. Let me tell you, in the past, they have renovated these schools many times. And people learned trick on how to manage it. If you awarded the renovation contract, what you do is just to go to that place, do a minor job, apply costume on the wall, and you just go your way. You are sure that next year, because matching grant is being approved from Abuja by UBEC, and the state is also paying the counterpart fund, you know that by next year, another round of contract will come. And you also benefit. If you do a good job and strong one, of course, it is over. So they continued with that kind of practice. These are things, the baseline that Mbah even did before concluding on the smart school. We can't go back again, apply costume on these walls. Some of them are not habitable. Some of them are even worse than even zoo. Okay? So nobody could continue. What we have now done is to put this structure. Yes, people can say it is big. It's actually big. But Mbah did not discriminate in citing this school. It is everywhere. Before you could see discrimination in the distribution of these amenities. And some will benefit more, some will benefit less, some will not benefit. But in this case, he felt that wherever a child of Enugu State is, that child is important to him. Whatever location that anybody is, that location is important to him. Now, he saw the need to distribute this thing across board to provide opportunity for people to learn. And that opportunity is what even some people are abusing because they want the state to continue to remain in decay. And that is why you cannot understand the kind of approach they are adopting in criticism. I think the best thing is that people should appreciate things when they are going well. You emphasized the ones that have little or few challenges.
Yes, that's like
yes.
Yeah.
A friend called me the other day. I will paint two scenarios.
You saw the viral video say that it's new heaven.
No, I will paint two scenarios.
Okay. And the one in Akov, they say I was blown by
a friend called me, not is Amagunze.
Amagus or something.
A friend called me and was telling me that we are too slow in project implementation, that this is supposed to take 6 months. Privately, I told him that you started a building project about 20 years back. They are still at lintel level. What is holding it? Now, if you apply speed, they will say we are doing work day and night so that the building will collapse. We should allow a healing period. If we slow down so that we observe the integrity procedure, they will say we are no longer doing anything. This world and this life, the dynamics of living and dying is also implied in the act and the mindset of human being. Now, the whole snag, we are just approaching them. There was a case in New Haven. Somebody just sent me the video. In fact, I came in from, I had to rush to that place to see what happened. A leak. You see, when people magnify what should even cause them to reflect and think, how do we tackle some of these issues? Then they magnify it and throw it on social media and start to make mockery of themselves, not even government. A friend called me. Let me give you something that is a beautiful thing. This same friend, I visited him. You know, we had the first heavy rainfall.
Yeah.
I visited him. That day, I was in his house before the rain started. So I could not go. They provided me umbrella to enter my vehicle. The breeze was also heavy. So I said, instead of going out and the breeze will just carry the roof of the canopy, which they provided, let me stay inside until there is calm. Behold, they were bringing bath, okay? Bringing bucket, bringing everything, displaying here and there. I asked, what is happening? They said, okay, you don't know, leakage, this building, I don't know whether there is roof still on top of it. Who knew about it? Except myself, who was inside when this thing was falling.
Yes.
Smart school has become an attractive point that everybody wants to go and find out what is happening there. If it is not attractive,
negative for
if they're only finding the negative, they have not reported the positive one. Yes. If we do what is good, they don't report. So these are just the issues that we are having. Okay? Criticizing when they ought not to criticize. Let me give you an instance again. Few weeks back, there was windstorm, a sort of, which of course affected my community. And it blew off many roofs in my community, pulled down trees, destroyed electric poles, these solar poles and all of them. But do you know, I didn't see any of such on social media. Nobody. But what happened was that somebody sneaked into the smart school in my community and took a video of the suspended ceiling at the passage, which roof just forced into and scattered, and was displaying it on social media. And the same person who was displaying it had no roof on his building because the wind blew his roof off. He had no temerity to even tell the world, I'm in a very terrible situation, assist me, rebuild my house. What he could do was just to go and snap a smart school where some of the suspended ceilings pulled off.
But do you know why they do that?
Because they are in love with what we are doing.
Because it's public funds. The other one is a private fund.
Well, the public fund does not suspend a natural disaster. Okay? If one has not done work well, there is a way to approach it. Let me tell you. If you have opportunity to serve in the public sector, there are basic things you understand. Beyond classroom situation, beyond teaching scenario, serving a public institution gives you an insight into how people behave and the mindset. I did a survey study, and I have come to the conclusion that the problem that we have in Nigeria are not even the leaders.
Followership.
The followership. That is the problem we have. From my own observation, and of course I'm writing some papers on all this, I discovered that government will have good intention and have also what it could call a fertile ground. I will tell you what that fertility is. A fertile ground where it plans to sow a seed. But evil people will come and they just not even harvest, but uproot it. Now, Governor Mbah had in mind to render quality service to Enugu State people. Believed in the people that he was thinking he would work with. Contractors. Gave them work. Provided funding. And many of them felt that it is business as usual. They never had the second thought of what Mbah meant when he said business unusual. So they were given this contract, mobilized. They were also requested to go to site because the site handover has been done. Some of them, fraudulent characters, now started cheating on government. Not following specification, not even implementing at all. And you tell me that people are not wicked. I tell you, many of our people are damn wicked.
What have been the consequences for those who have done those?
Already we are dealing with the situation. You know that Mbah does not let anything go. Because now we are talking about public fund. Nobody collects public fund and just live with it. You must account. But these are people that slowed down the pace of our work. And in many instances, rendered poor and terrible work that we are battling with.
Have they been punished?
How can you tell me that some...
Have they been punished?
Yes, already we are dealing with some of them. How can you tell me?
What practical terms are you dealing with them?
Well, you know that sentiment has a way of, let me not say in practical terms, because those that are involved, they know what they are suffering already. But what we are trying to say is that, how can you give somebody a job, pay the person? Now there is specification, there is bill that is regulating contracts. Now you give the person the bill. Remember that nobody was forced to even accept the job offer. Let it be firmly established. Nobody. When the bid opening was done and award done by selection of those who bidded fairly, they were requested to review their bid and see how they can at least adapt to the new bid price, which of course is the standard price and which is not far from what they bidded. And these people went ahead and wrote letter of acceptance and went to bank to collect APG, and they were mobilized. And along the line, they started manifesting dubious intention. Because this is a mass project. Some of them started slowing down others that ought to be engaged in the exercise with good faith, so that they continue to collect variation. At every moment, they will just stampede you into granting them variation. And they saw it as a ground where they can continue to receive money, every day. And at a point, no, we said no. We have actually achieved now.
So that before you do that, so have there been variation in some of these contracts?
Yes, we granted variation. Because originally, like in Esobeb, originally, the contract sum was 346 million something. Okay? Now, when we suffered some inflation trends, we reasoned that maybe because of the dynamics of the market forces, that this price, this contract sum is not sustainable. Remember that for Esobeb UBEC project, there is no room for variation. I requested government to come to our aid so that none of the project will be abandoned. So governor graciously approved it and granted them equal level with those awarded by the state. Some of them completed their job and delivered good project. The dubious ones were just going back and forth, seeking for additional editing opportunity to enrich themselves. But this is not how government can run. So those who are contractors, let me tell you, if you have any good intention to do any project and contractors did not frustrate you, you go for Thanksgiving.
Before you go for that, can I ask you one question? Who is in charge of the execution of the smart green schools? Is it the Enugu State government? Is this Esobeb or is it local government?
Well,
or is there an arrangement, where is there a synergy?
Let me tell you.
Because up there,
yeah,
there are several stories. It started with government, they've handed it over to local government, and Esobeb is supervisor. There are too many confusing stories.
No, people are always, people tell stories because one is that they don't even know what is their business. Their business is to deliver the project and they also have a business of supervising what is happening in their ward. They're supposed to be the eye of the government. Report where there are deficiencies in the work being done in your ward. Then government will take it up there. You're supposed to follow up with the engineer, know what he's doing, know whether he's following specification, report any defect.
So they report to local government,
so
SOBEB,
in
or
terms of
government.
Yes, they can report to SOBEB. This is our pet project, generally, whether it is being done by the state or by SOBEB.
But who is doing
But let me tell you how it goes,
yes.
because
that is very important.
Yes, you need to understand. The whole project comes under SOBEB. You know that SOBEB is responsible for management of basic education.
Yes.
Okay, but again, we have Ministry of Works and Infrastructure. There are specific projects that SOBEB could not handle all of this. There's so much. It's not one project, one school or two. This is all about over 267 projects going on simultaneously. So SOBEB could not have handled all of them. State is handling under Ministry of Works and Infrastructure. SOBEB is also handling. Where local government came in, for those that do not want to. You know that before now, we were running helter-skelter supervising this project. We move as a team, go to moving from one local government to the other, going all through the 17 local governments. It got to a point that we felt, what actually local government is part of a co-partner in basic education delivery. What actually are they doing? That we shall be leaving our offices and all the engagement and going to supervise the projects that are happening in their wards. And remember that each ward has a councillor elected. So why would they not? And remember again before that each council area has Department of Engineering, Works Department.
Work department.
Okay? So why would we busy ourselves turning all these local governments, all these political wards, when we have other layers of authority that can do that and give us a report? We partly just handed some aspect of the supervisory job on the local government. And we have a joint meeting.
Does that include funding?
Yes, we are funding.
No, does it include local government funding?
No, government is funding.
So why do they claim local government is funding the project?
Well, let me tell you. These are some of the criminal elements I told you about. Those that have refused to do their job. Because we watched them closely. We felt maybe they are trying to frustrate what Governor Mbah is doing. Because they don't have good faith from the way they are behaving. So what happened was that we now said, okay, rather than give you money direct, because often we give you money, you don't procure anything, you don't do anything. The next you do is to start to write another supplementary request. What have you done with the one you received? You can't give us any concrete, response. So we now said, write whatever thing you want to procure. The local government that is supervising the project that you are doing will now join you to where you are buying and pay. You get it?
Yeah, micromanaging their funds.
Yes, that kind of supervision and management got many of them upset because there was no room again for anybody to pocket government money and just continue with business as usual.
Okay, can I ask one question? Somebody sent me a note that said, please don't wait to ask Prof this question. Is it true there's a uniform price for all the smart schools across board? From Igweze South to Anieri local government, that it's the same contract price?
Exactly.
I don't know when you've been to my place. And you've been to Ezeago. My place is a rugged terrain.
Well, let me just help you out.
Yes.
Because, yes, we use the uniform price. Okay? In their word.
Okay.
Again, some contractors raised concern. Some did basement, basement. Some did deep cutting.
Yeah.
Okay? So they were asked to bring variation for those ones.
So they have been
the government paid.
So they have been taking care
Their
of.
government is taking care of those ones.
It's important you explain this.
Anyone who said he has not been paid when he put variation for that extra work, let him come and
because the story out there is that these smart schools are running on XYZ amount, and that is all from A to Z.
Well, the question you ask yourself is only that government has committed itself to building this smart school and getting the number that we are talking about. The question you ask yourself is, each contractor has rights to reject offer. You get what I mean?
I'm sure some people even know the location where that's.
No. See, let me tell you, you have not committed any money. If you go to sites, if a site is handed over to you, you look at it and you maybe feel that, oh, it can't fly. You come and say you can't do it.
Yes.
Why would you accept work and not accept the responsibility that is attached?
Okay.
But again, we are offsetting those variations,
okay,
because we witness them in many locations.
Prof, time is running. You are still watching Beyond the Headlines on Freedom Square TV, and we welcome you back from that short break. Before we actually proceeded, Prof was talking about the training and retraining of teachers, transition from chalkboard to smart boards. So, Prof, you may wish to continue.
Thank you. So I was telling you that we have invested so much money in training because we realized that smart school cannot actually perform the magic that we have articulated and which people are expecting to happen, except we invest heavily in transforming the orientation of the teachers. If you recall, when we started this smart school project, the first question people were asking is, what set of teachers are we going to use to run this smart school? Is it this who they kick and the mentally, the way they describe it, punctuating it, mentally, dysfunctional teachers? No, we said no. Some of these teachers are professional teachers. Some of them are also skilled. But the only thing we have to do is that what we inherited, we cannot throw them out, because they have been part of the system before now. We are going to expose them to training because they are likely going to adjust, they are likely going to change. And we started the digital literacy training, which is first exposing them to basic ICT skill. Okay? First, letting them know how to, open their laptop, switch on their laptop, how to use keyboard, how to use mouse, how to operate a minor, computer appreciation. From there, we graduated to other levels because there are a whole lot that is expected of them to do using this technology. Now, today, we have got to a point that we appreciate the commitment of these teachers, the level of transformation that has happened. And we are also increasing the approach, the volume of what we are doing, so that people will start to understand and appreciate the approach that Governor Mbah has initiated to get these things done. Generally, smart school, as I said, is not a question of building and what have you. It's technology, and the technology we have brought in place now. We have smart board. This smart board is an interactive board. Okay, you must learn how to operate it. It guides you in teaching learning process. It provides you every assistance you need. We also have the tablets, because from primary 4 to JS3, each child, each student is supposed to have a tablet. From primary 4 to JS3.
Supposed to have it, they have it.
Yeah, we have it now. We have the tablets.
Is it true? It's manufactured by the hair group?
No, there are ones we procured even before these ones came. Okay, we have already procured some of these things. We have also procured all the smart boards. If you go to old government lodge, you see where all of them are packed. What we are now doing is that we are moving level by level, taking some training on experiential learning pedagogy. Okay, trying to create an avenue for people to understand what is experiential learning, what is the approach that can be adopted in transmitting information from technology to the pupil, okay, and from technology to the students, and how can it be interactive, sharing ideas between the students, the pupil, and the teachers. So these are the foundational level that we are actually working and investing.
What's the guarantee that every child will have a tablet?
No, it's not a question of guarantee. It's not a question of guarantee. It's a question of what is the basic requirement for smart school to become what it is. It's already being implemented. Government has procured almost 90%. So you cannot be saying what is the guarantee. Guarantee is that it is still speculative. I'm telling you what is real. Remember that most of the communities are not connected to national grid. I want people to understand what this smart school project is all about. Because when they see the building, some of them went to that place and say, oh, we have not seen anything. We have not seen anything. You know those first set of people that went to raise that alarm? We have not seen anything. There are people who laid ambush to see if we can bring our equipment so that they steal it in the night. Okay? So, but we were just hesitant. We don't want to at least rush. We want to provide adequate security to guard against any of such theft. Because our people do not protect what is common property, public property. They want to destroy it. Okay? So we are now into solarization, providing 65 kVA solar powered
All the
smart schools. The first set, we are doing 100 now. Okay? After that 100, we move to the next. And that is when you start to see all this equipment we're emphasizing coming on board. If you go to smart school, you see the smartness. People will start to appreciate. I know that some of them will be just wondering why we are not just rushing everything. We don't want to, because opposition here is the type that instigates crime, so that they find excuse to at least launch attack on government. Okay? Look at even few things. I remember that we had one occasion where in Nsukka, some persons went and vandalized something in the smart school. And it came on social media. People were jubilating, celebrating. Thank God that they have vandalized. So what it means is that they are not even caring to at least watch over the future of their children. All they are desirous of doing is to see how they can pilfer or steal anything that can add, short value.
Okay, Prof. Time is actually running. The way the time runs, we just have, and we'll still have several questions. What is management of funds? Enugu State government graciously allocated 3% of its annual budget to education.
Exactly.
Ranking about highest in Nigeria. I don't think it has any comparison anywhere. But budgeting is one thing. But getting the funds directly available. So how are SBEB ensuring to the Ministry of Education that this fund directly impact the 260 planned smart schools?
Thank you. One is to even acknowledge that governor made a bold step by...
It's audacious.
Very, very audacious. Each time I go to UBEC for any meeting, Ministry of Education, World Bank and all this, once you say, they will say, Prof, help you. Your governor is doing well. Now, when you talk of transparency, you talk of accountability, judicious use of fund. That is where you associate Governor Mbah's regime with whatever thing that represents honesty. You remember that if funds are not being sourced or not being released, you can't see any of these projects going on. The fact that these projects are ongoing without anyone stopping, that tells you that the fund provided for this project are being judiciously used. I've told you the scenario where we have some challenges, but we are closing the gap. So we are having access to funds provided for this capital project. And these capital projects are being implemented as planned and, of course, promised by the government.
Okay, you recently flagged off a very bold initiative, distribution of textbooks and materials.
TLM.
How do you plan to ensure that every child gets at least one or two of these materials?
Thank you.
There is not an urban thing.
Yeah, no. Of course, Mbah does not talk about urban thing. Okay? Smart school is not urban thing. It is not distribution of TLM that will become urban thing. Okay. Each smart school will benefit from this. You rightly mentioned what actually happened. We flagged off, governor flagged off the distribution of this TLM. And the governor was represented, at least in that occasion. We have already done the distribution, templates, each smart school is going to have its own allocation. It's already, presented in a table. So it's not a question of urban thing. And again, what is important is that we have library. We have digital library. We have ICT. I've not even taken time to tell you what is the composition of smart school, because we were just talking about other things and losing out from that angle.
I've visited the smart school.
Okay, yes, but those who are the critics may not have known what smart school constitutes. We have a lab, okay, and this lab is science lab, physics, chemistry, biology. We have studio. We have also mechatronics, workshop. We have robotics, and we have digital library. When I say digital, you can imagine, because internet router is being installed in any area that we install.
Is the library hybrid?
It's hybrid.
So you have.
That is why we are sharing.
You have room for physical books.
That is why we. How could we distribute teaching learning material if there is no provision for such? Okay, all these teaching materials are meant to supplement whatever thing they are learning digitally, because physical book is still very important. Okay, this physical book is what the child can hold and interact with, appreciate some of the features and the rest of them. And we are creating just a reading corner. It's not a question of maybe you are packing these books and dumping them somewhere. We are also creating reading corner. It's not that a child will just carry the whole books and they just go home, because this book is just going to transfer from one to the other. Yeah. So we have a reading corner at the point that a subject is being taught and there is need for people to, they all go to that reading corner and pick those books. Okay, after that subject, they can just have a time to read through, do some practice and the rest of them. And when they are going, all those things are packed, including the tablets, because nobody is going home with tablets. Otherwise, you come back the next day and the none will be found again. Yeah. So when they finish school activity, all these things are just kept safely for the next day's activity. So we are taking all these things into consideration.
Okay, I hope I'm right. The Smart Green School Initiative promises free education from nursery to just. Is that correct?
Very, very correct.
Okay, the question people are asking, does this include fees, uniforms, and books?
You have mentioned it. Every one of them. We are sharing books. We are sharing uniform. Of course, if
are you sharing books on all subjects, or are you doing selective sharing?
We are sharing books because apart from the one that is sourced digitally, okay, we are also sharing physical material.
How do you, now that you talk digitally, you just brought
digital library. We have digital library, e-library.
Yes, that's what the point is. The copyrighted materials, because the fight we're having as publishers now is the infringement on our copyrights for authors and publishers in AI. And so when they say they're sourcing digitally, unconsciously, most governments, not just about Enugu State, most governments who are doing that are infringing on the copyright of the right owners, and they're not paying a dime. It amounts to intellectual theft. Globally, we're doing that with UBEC. We're actually having an issue with UBEC. So it's not about Enugu. I'm just bringing a point that when people say they are doing digital learning, they're taking material from where? From who?
Let me tell you, there are books that are registered. Okay? There are some organizations that have registered some books. So these are
the approved textbooks in Nigeria.
These are resources that we tap from. UBEC is also supplying us the books they have got authorization to use for schools.
We're still having issues with
so if your organization is
having issues,
if your organization is having issues,
governmental piracy.
If your organization is having issue with UBEC, that is a secondary matter. The primary is that there are links that are shared to suburbs. All those links are what you use to source some books.
I have an idea.
If they give us those links and we are making use of it, if there is any problem you think...
Like I say, there's no ignorance in...
It's not a question of ignorance. It's a question of the source. That is why if you are writing, and you want to cite somebody, you cite and give the source. Anybody who is in doubt does not return to you.
Okay.
The person goes to
Let's
the
not
source.
distract us. So the fees
No, we are not collecting fees. Let me just come clear on this.
That's where we are.
Because we don't want people to hold on to that false imagination. Remember that why we are just contending with multiple challenges, and why we are even having the attack we are having, is that many parents who abandoned public school because it appeared a no-go area started seeing vision of reality that will meet their expectation with the smart school. These are parents that have spent so much money buying book pack, paying in private schools. So they want to gain freedom. Okay? And that freedom is smart school. Now, we don't collect anything called money. Who is paying fees? Nobody. Rather, we are relieving parents of their financial burden. If we sew uniform and distribute, you know what it is?
It's just a pair of
Is it
uniform.
a small sacrifice?
Is it just one?
They pay. Is it a small sacrifice?
Will you wear that Monday, Tuesday, Friday?
The two?
Okay, two.
Yeah, and there are sports wears.
Okay.
Which of course you have to bridge the gap, know which time that each one is needed, and you wear it. The most important thing is that we want the children to appear smart. Okay? And if you have seen them, you see how smart they are. So if they are coming to smart school, they must first appear smart. Okay. So we are not collecting any money. And remember again, because we need to at least emphasize this for people to understand. Part of what is incorporated as a program for this smart school is also school feeding.
Yeah, I was going to ask that.
Yes,
So,
school feeding. And
how does that work?
it works perfectly well.
How? So in the morning they come to school.
In the morning,
They have, they have account. In the afternoon they have one.
No,
So how does it
it's
happen?
1 meal per day.
Okay.
It's not a money.
And what time is
Because it is not a resident school.
What time is it recommended they have
That is during their break hours.
So what do they do? What's the typical?
So we give them depending on the menu for the day, because we have a timetable, a menu for the week.
Yeah.
Okay. There is a day they will take a yam porridge. A day they take rice and egg. So we varied their menu so that it will give that sense of balanced diet.
At least it works. It's working.
It works.
Okay.
And many parents, you know that most of these children do not even eat in the morning before going to school. If you are privileged to be feeding your children fat, you don't know that there are some children who do not even take anything and leave for school. And they come back with the same empty stomach.
Some of us did it at a time.
So government, that is why I say people should appreciate Mbah for thinking towards that direction.
I have four last first question before we close. We're already 4 minutes out of our time. People with disability.
Yes, our school system is all inclusive.
Yes, how are you managing people with disability?
No, if you go to our smart school, you see where we have done ramp. Okay, for anybody who is physically challenged to access classroom, we are providing everything. You know why we want to do away with discrimination? Because if you say people with a disability and just assign them to one side, they look at themselves as suffering some defect. That society is pitying them.
Discrimination.
Yes, society is pitying them.
Educational appetite.
If they look at you and you are well and all it, they start to, maybe in their own imagination, they'll be asking God, why? Why are they in this condition? So what we have done is just we opened our gates, okay, to allow them mix up, be in the same class, do everything together, so that they will start to lose that consciousness of defect. This smart school is all accommodating.
Very quickly, and I'm taking it to our local government area.
Thank you.
And that has to do with the issue of transport needs for students from distant villages. I'm sure you are aware of what they call Anikana and Ugweme ward. That's where you have Ugweme, Ezere, Ogunta, Newanta. And if you know the geography, you will know that Ugweme is towards Abiaimo, after Ogun. Now you have to come back to Ogun, get to Mako, and then get to Mbidi, and then you get to Ezere. Then you leave Mako and go further. Then you go to Ogunta and Newanta. The smart school for this ward, that span about 10 kilometers, is in Ugweme. Transportation. How are you managing move students? to Ugueme. And I understand when you talked about additional, the needs that you're trying to, is Ugueme part of it? Then I take you back to my own. I'm Olubo Olubu word. I'm happy you are here today. I'm Olubo Olubu word. So that if you are discussing about these special areas, our smart school is no Willie Girls. That's just the beginning. And after Willie Girls, you find Ubo. And then further you find Ubu. Then I'm in my town. And then Mbah are more than 5 kilometers away from that. So again, special need area. For now, until there's maybe an intervention, how are you going to manage the transportation of these students?
Well, thank you very much. Since we started onboarding, okay, we are identifying some of the challenges, and we are now just compiling the field observation, the reports, and the rest of them. The essence is that government does not plan with empty data. Government plans with data. We have built this smart school knowing fully well that it will serve the population within that ward. And what the governor had in mind was that he does not want to isolate any child from having access to this education. The reason is that every child has potential to become anything. And any child that you may isolate may be that child who has that potential. He can't realize the dream again. We are already working assiduously to bridge several gaps. We have done onboarding. Eventually, your location that you described now, there are other locations, including my community.
I know, but I didn't want to go to your place. Because I know something is being done. Something is being done in their place.
No. You are emphasizing your community. You've not even asked me, how does it pay you? Okay? The thing is that programs are done in phases. I want people to understand that.
Just for those who have been talking,
yeah,
to know that government is actually.
Let me tell you one funny thing that people, you may have a genuine case. You generate a genuine report, which of course every reasonable person will look into for any redress. Okay? There are those who just look into what you have done and say, Dr. Chanyoke has requested for intervention and it has been granted. Why would we not? They were right. Some of them want school to be in front of their house. It is not possible. And what we have observed that is becoming an issue, because we are doing a forensic analysis of this. What we have discovered is that we found out that these schools that are dotted here and there is not just to provide proximity to the pupil. It has to do with title mentality. Communities, personalities, we are using it to establish their strength in government. Yes, I have attracted smart school to my place. I have attracted this to my place. What is the enrollment capacity of some of these schools? Before we came to the conclusion of collapsing schools,
that's a big question.
We had reasons. Let me tell you, you have a primary school that has 20 enrollment capacity. Then in primary 6, you have two pupils. These two pupils, you cannot allow them just float like that. You must provide teacher. What is the UNESCO prescribed ratio of teacher to pupil? 25, 30, 35. Then you are compelled to start to find a way of providing for two pupils. And the thing will just go across all the layers like that. How can you survive? How can such systems survive? So what we are doing is that we are looking at enrollment strength of each unit. Where we have reasonable enrollment, okay, in the nearest future after the completion of this set of schools we are doing, government is going to initiate intervention action so that we bridge the gap where there are reasonable gaps and now see how we can at least accommodate those pocket interests that have been shot out of the closeness to smart school.
Thank you very much. After GSS 3, what is the pathway for these students into the 8 science, technical, and vocational schools in Enugu State?
Well, after the JS3,
Yes.
remember that government has started building the smart senior secondary school. I don't know whether you have seen the one that is being built in Owo.
I've not seen that.
If you see it, you will think it is a university. Some persons were even saying that Mbah has started building another university in Owo. Okay? But that is a smart secondary school. And that is what is intended to build in all the local governments, which has a 2,500 capacity. So the intention is that after graduating from this, foundational level, you don't get disconnected, because continuity is what will sustain even the vision that we have. You move to another level, and that level is going to provide you that environment, that background, and everything that is sustainable to continue to move. We have technical and vocational education institutions. Of course, you have mentioned it.
Yeah.
Those ones are being transformed, they are being renovated, they are being put in their proper shape for now, where some of these kids will just graduate to. And that is what we just give them, that enablement to continue, at least with their learning.
Okay,
process.
2 final questions. How will you measure the success of this initiative in the next 5 years? Is it by exam scores or by skill acquisition? Or both?
Both of them.
How will it work?
Both of them. One, I have asked you whether you have gone to check what the children are doing. You are not privy to that.
I'm not.
They did exhibition even in ICC, and people were amazed, where they did the drone, they did the power bank, they did all these things. These are functional things. And you see the robots they have built too many types of products. And you can just start imagine, if these children can be such creative, then what does it mean in the next 10, 20, 30 years? Enugu State will become another China and another Japan. So we are going to measure the success of this project by not the score where it is competitive, because you don't use internal score to judge the performance of students. You use external examination that has attracted other people from other areas. If they performed well, you can say, oh, Smart School project and program is running well. Now, but again, where we are going to dwell more is on skill acquisition. Because these children are already doing something that their peers cannot do anywhere in Nigeria. They're already distinguished in that aspect, even without escalating it further. The level where they are now, they have shown the promise that, oh, if we are given opportunity to run this for 3, 4, 5, 6 years, we are going to surprise people.
Okay, on a final note and personal note, what is the personal commitment of Associate Professor Okibe to ensure that these reforms outlive your administration and the administration of Peter Mbah? What foundations are you laying to ensure that?
Thank you. You see, this is a question that I wouldn't have wished that you omit.
Okay.
Because what everybody is busy thinking, every rightful thinking man, is succession. Those that are coming after me, what are they going to benefit from me? That is why today our major focus is on institutional stability. That is number one. Building a culture that is sustainable, not around individual, but institutional culture, which people will just adapt to and live their daily lives. Again, we are building structures. Structures, of course, you know that when you build structure, you assign functions to them. That is structural functionalism, if we take it to that level. Where people will see these are structures, organizational structures, that have these functions to perform. These functions are expected to deliver these results. So you measure yourself by the level of achievement you make, looking at the calibration What have I done? Am I meeting up? For instance, you talk about system maintenance, because you know that building this smart school is one thing, maintenance is another thing. System maintenance. What are we going to do to ensure that this system is maintained? You have to build the structure. You have also to build the culture, because people are concerned when they go to government. Their primary preoccupation is how to get money. Okay, how to get money will preoccupy their mind. They don't talk about institutional strengthening. If you don't strengthen institution, you can't get anything right. You must condition people to understand that this institution is for the benefit of tomorrow, not only today. So we are developing capacity, building human capacity, those that can respond to issues concerning smart school, both in technological aspect and every other aspect. We are doing all those things. And one is a legacy of commitment and trust. Without trust, without commitment, you can't go far in life. And again, legacy of honesty. Manage government project with commitment, with sincerity. Don't allow any corrupt practices or practice to rear up in anywhere you are managing. Once you are seen to discourage corruption and corrupt practices, people will say, hi, before now, this is what we were doing. But since this chairman came, this is what is the new trend. And that new trend, the new crop of people that are coming will now at least dilute those that were there before, and they start to at least practice that which you have laid as a foundation, and it is going to be a sustainable one.
Yes, it's going to be a sustainable one, and I think this is a very good point to leave this conversation. Of course, for the past 1 hour and a couple of minutes, you've been watching Professor Kibe, who is the executive chairman of Esuba Benugu, and we've actually run through the whole gamut of the smart schools, its sustainability, and this continuity. And I want to thank Prof for finding time to be here.
Thank you very much for engaging me.
Join us same time tomorrow for yet another interesting edition of Beyond the Headlines.